ahead and call the regular meeting of the Lake Orion Village Council for Monday, July 13, 2026 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Rudd?
Here.
Councilmember Mosher?
Here.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Danielides?
Here.
Councilmember Papachek?
Here.
You have a quorum. Councilmember Comparoni and Pro Tem Ford requested to be excused.
I'll move to excuse Mr. Comparoni and Mr. Ford. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, presentations, we have none. Item 5, call to the public. Each person wishing to address the Village Council shall be afforded an opportunity to do so. If you wish to comment, please stand or raise your hand to indicate you wish to speak. When recognized, give your name and address, direct your comments to the chair, and a reminder that comments are limited to 4 minutes. So is there anyone for call to the public? Yes, sir.
Caleb Nagley, 324 at Water Street. Good evening, members of the council. There's been a lot of talk recently about dissolving the village, and there's even a petition circulating for dissolving the village. And I would just like to propose that the council consider contracting a third-party consulting firm to investigate what would happen if the village was dissolved and to provide an objective opinion to the council. From there, the council could make a public comment or host an event to share this information with the residents about the situation. I think this is important because the council and the residents need facts and data, and not just a bunch of emotions regarding what would happen if the village was dissolved, for better or for worse. That way everyone can make an informed decision on what the best path forward is. It's also possible that a third-party study would show that only certain services would be integrated into the township, such as maybe the Department of Public Works could merge with the township, but the rest of the village could remain intact. I don't know, but it's something to think about. In conclusion, people need transparency. This includes the council and citizens. And I think this kind of study would provide the exact kind of unbiased information that would be helpful to both council members and citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Who'll be next?
Good evening, Debbie Burgess, business 11 South Broadway, home residence 1317 East Rainer Road, Oxford. I would just like to pray this evening. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we just lift up our village council members to you today. Lord, I ask that you would grant them wisdom to see the best path forward for our community. Give them absolute clarity to understand complex issues and foresee the long-term impact of their choices. Lord, we pray for a spirit of unity to sweep through their meetings. Help them listen to one another with respect, disagree with grace, and work together with a single purpose. Lord, remove any personal agendas or divisions and align their hearts to reward what is truly best for our village. Lord, thank you for filling them with integrity, compassion, and strength as they lead. May their decisions bring peace, prosperity, and safety to every resident. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Yes.
I just got a couple questions. Because the last time I was here, and I think it was June, because we had July 4th.
Name, please.
Excuse me?
Your name, please.
Brenda. Before I even begin, you guys are all new, but I've been fighting this stuff for 14 years. And not getting any transparency doesn't work. Writing on a piece of paper like that, not paying attention to me, doesn't really work. And I understand that you guys are all busy. But I want to talk about the sidewalks and the water for a minute. And the one thing that I want to do is I want to present to the board so they could read out loud and explain every line on my water bill for me. I'll wait.
Teresa, I'm going to take that to the village manager.
Thank you.
I'm frustrated. I'm sorry, you guys. I live in a condo that's not even part of this area. And I don't know how dumb you guys think we are. You send this out into the mail, so you don't do anything with the water, but you raise the sewer. What's the difference between raising the water and raising the sewer? How does it affect me more? Okay. So on June 24th, the paper came out after the meeting. Village Council votes against changing water and sewer rates. That's cool. I was at that meeting. We had a full house. And actually, we had most of the people that were from the lakeside from there because they got pissed off about their water and their sewer and they want to know what's going on. And I don't know if you guys crashed or somebody baited 4-3. All the residents in here were sitting here and we thought it's about time you started to listen to us, get somebody that can write quotes, find things that can help us out. You got $5 million in excess sitting in a bank. How come we're not using that? I don't know if somebody's making... So that was on June 24th. The village council votes down. July 1st, village awarded $250K grant for street improvements. Village council awarded contracts for District 2 sidewalk improvements totaling $43,411. So now we almost got $300K for the sidewalks, and the sidewalks are supposed to be paid by us as the residents. Where and what are we going to do with that money? Well, I know you just look at me. I just want to make sure it resonates because I come up and say the same thing over and over again. And then I get July 8th paper, Village Council approves net increase in water and sewer rates. What are we doing? We had this big conversation with all these people and talked about it, and then you turn around and a week later have a meeting and screw us all with non-transparency. There's absolutely no transparency. 1 week I get come in and told me it's Christmas, the next week I go to jail for 4 weeks. What's going on? There's no transparency. How do we get answers? You can, seriously, you went from June 24th to July 8th and made a complete change in front of nobody. I don't get it. Is that transparency? Is that transparency? Help me. How do I get my answers questioned? My questions answered. And I'm sorry, I am so frustrated right now. 14 years! 14 years! What is going... Help me out!
4 minutes.
Excuse me?
That's the timer went out. That's 4 minutes.
Yeah, but I want you to explain my water bill since you know all the rules and everything about it and decided that you wanted to change my water.
That's your 4 minutes. You need to take a seat.
Can you explain my water bill?
That is your 4 minutes. We do not interact during public comment. It is public comment time. Thank you.
That's a public comment. Where's my water bill? Want to read that to me? Line by line? So nobody's going to read me my water bill line by line.
Is there anyone else for public comment? Yes, Mr. Stephen.
Nobody's going to read this. My bill is $375.
If you continue to be disruptive, I can have you escorted
You
out.
don't listen anyway.
I can have you escorted out if you're disruptive. One more time, and I will have you just escorted out. Mr. Stephen.
You cannot. That's freedom of speech. You tried that with me and it didn't work.
Harry Street and 311 North
Thank
Shore.
you.
I'm just wondering if we have a system in line where before a building permit is done, created by the township, that there is a sign-off procedure from the village that the zoning requirements have been met before that building permit is issued. This is primarily applicable for exterior modifications of property, but it can also apply to change of function, such as moving a private residence into a multiple rental facility. Those are zoning conformance type issues. And before they're issued a permit, I would think that there has to be a sign off from the village saying that the zoning requirements have been met before that building permit is issued. 2, in the case of internal construction in a house, which is not visible from the outside, we are still technically required to have a building permit to do that. And in many cases, we're increasing the SEV of the property because of that structure that's going on inside the house. But if it's not reported through the building department, we have no opportunity for SEV modification, which affects taxes, of course, which is the revenue stream for the village. So if you see construction trucks sitting in a driveway for a period of time, that's an indication that something is going on, and I think there should be a question asked about that, what's going on. Same with dumpsters and things of that nature. I think we're missing some opportunities, but in this case of getting zoning approval before a building permit is issued, I think that is something that we really need to take a look at so that we can close the loop. We don't have one entity looking at it and another entity not looking at it. So I think that's important that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for a call to the public? Yes.
Hi, how are you? Catherine Lewandowski, 152 Bellevue Avenue, Lake Orion, Michigan. How is everybody tonight? So when you get ready to do the consent of the agenda, I have a question to ask in reference to receiving and filing June 26 Planning and Zoning Monthly Report by McCanna. And then on the second page on number K, letter K rather, receive and file Planning Commission regular meeting minutes of June 1st. Does that mean that is then accepted as the change? Or do we still have more of a vote to go on that? On utilities within 10 foot of the home, I can't remember what was all on that. And in reference to the 5 million surplus in our savings account, might I say this? I do believe we have a surplus because if anything really tragically happened in our world, we still have to make a payroll and take care of our village residents. We have to have a backup of money to take care of things here within our village, if I'm right. That's why we have our surplus. It's not a surplus, it's a savings account to make sure everything's taken care of the proper way. So back to letter K, does that mean that's,
Excuse me, Catherine.
yes?
Are citizens allowed to remove agenda items?
We would.
So if
So you have the option.
you wanted one, would you like an item removed from the consent agenda in order that you may comment on it?
Just remember that it's not dialogue back and forth, but if you want to remove them, you can.
No. So you were talking about item K?
Item K is also in reference to June's planning,
B and K.
B and K, yes.
B and K?
B as in boy, K as in Catherine. So when you receive and you file the planning meeting, does that mean that that is all accepted as a new ordinance? It's a learning procedure for me, so bear with me, Ms. Rudd.
Yep, we'll address that. when we
Okay.
get to consent.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else for call to the public?
Well, Donald Kindred, you all know where I live. I'm a little disappointed. I've got 3 people here tonight that have been around here long enough to know what's been going on. The other 2, one's a little newer. Mr. Dandelides, he's been around here, sitting here long enough next to me to know what's been going on in this village. How is it we have an officer working for our police department that's been accused of sexual assault, police misconduct? How is it that the same officers were once reprimanded and told, you need to follow your oath? How is it all these officers resigned and came back and got their jobs? One to get caught committing treason by committing perjury. The other, filing false police reports, failing to do his job. Now he's accused of sexual assault. How is this possible in today's society? My friend come in here. He tried to explain to the village what he had a problem with. I stood here and watched that man walk out in that hall and cry. Because you people treat people like shit. And we're sick of it. You don't listen to us. We tell you what we want. We come in here and fill this place and tell you what we want. And you do nothing. She's mad? I'm pissed. And I got a right to be. You've called me a liar. I've been falsely arrested. I point out the shit that's going on in the parking lot, and nobody does nothing. Not a damn thing. I said I'd pay to have that tested. Our manager says, oh, we're going to get that taken care of, Don. I walked out there with the manager and pointed it out, stuck my hand up in the hole. My arm, I could have stuck my whole body up in there. It's still there. And nobody wants to do nothing. You want to sit here and say, I'll have you removed for raising your voice, for going over your time limit. No, you can't. It's already been proven. Freedom of speech rules. It's one of our constitutional God-given rights. You people need to start learning who you work for. It's that damn simple. I wish the chief were sitting here. If you think for 1 minute Wes isn't jumping ship because he knows all the shit that's going to fly, when all these people find out what's going on with the sewage and water around here, you think two guys in the same department are just going to jump ship because they don't know what's going on? You must think we're really dumb. I think you people need to reevaluate your jobs because they're not going to be here much longer.
That's your 4 minutes. Thank you. Anyone else for call to the public?
If I can do it now or wait 2 minutes? Okay, I'll wait till the end.
Seeing none, I will close call to the public. Item 6, approval of the agenda by order of the president. No matters will be discussed after 9:30 p.m. unless the council votes to continue the meeting. And just as a note, on the printed agenda, there, item K under other items is not there, but it is on the online version. Item K is confirmation of village manager's appointment of acting public works director.
Your Honor, if I could also request that item 10B be removed from tonight's agenda?
That B is in boy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Council?
I'd like to remove items B and K from the consent agenda at this time.
Well, right now we're just approving the agenda and then we'll do
Oh,
consent
I
agenda.
move to approve the agenda with the modifications of deleting item 10B and adding 10K, confirmation of temporary village DPW.
Support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are approved by one vote. So, Mr. Lamb?
Yes, I'd like to bring down items B and K so we can receive comment from the citizens.
Anybody else?
I'd like to pull down A, please.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with items A, B, and K pulled down for further discussion.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item A, receive and file email correspondence from Michael DeLuca dated June 22, 2026 regarding seeking an exception to the noxious weed ordinance. Mr. Dandelides.
Thank you. Per the discussion at our June 8th regular meeting, Mr. DeLuca has researched what other local communities have done to allow residents to participate in the No Mow Day He's provided 4 possible models in his most recent correspondence for consideration. Also, per the motion carried at that meeting, administration would investigate a potential permit or waiver process under the noxious weed ordinance to accommodate participation in No Mow May and return with recommendations. So Mr. DeLuca has provided us with some alternatives or at least some suggestions. My question is, when would we expect to hear back from administration? Do we have an idea when that might be?
Your Honor, let me pull that up real quick, just a moment. We can have something on the council's agenda for your next regular meeting.
Thanks. So if there's no other comments, I'll make a motion then that we receive and file the correspondence.
Support? Any other council questions about that? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, receive and file June 2026 Planning and Zoning Monthly Report by McKenna. Mr. Lynn.
I was at that meeting. I received the report. I don't really have anything to comment on.
No. I think one of the questions that came out was, what does this do? It receives and files. This doesn't take any extra action on top of what the Planning Commission has already done. It's just to receive and file their report.
We're just receiving the report from the Planning Commission. No action is taken. It just basically lets us know what's going on in the village.
Any other council comments about that? Any public comment on receiving and filing? So I'll move to receive and file the June 2026 Planning and Zoning Monthly Report by McKenna.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then item K, Mr. Lane.
Item K is receive and file the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes of June 1st, 2026. So along the lines of what the citizen brought up, the meeting minutes are only a documentation of what transpired. At that meeting, we did review an ordinance and made a recommendation for a change to the ordinance. I believe there's going to be the public hearing, or is that the public notice? Darwin, do you recall the next step in that action on the ordinance for the generators?
The village attorney has to put the proposed language changes into a formal ordinance, and then it'll be introduced to council, I'm hoping at your next meeting.
That will be another public hearing?
No, there will be no public hearing. It'll be introduced at that meeting, at one meeting, and then the public notices are published, and then a month later, you'll receive the ordinance again for second reading and consideration for adoption.
So the gist of the meeting that I found was that the Planning Commission determined that we should keep the generators 10 feet away from any opening in the house, and that there was really no basis for us to limit sound levels on these generators because the manufacturers could not provide any generators that we could find that met the sound requirements that were in the ordinance, and that during the emergency situations when the generators are supposed to be used, I could drag my ginormous construction generator out of my garage and run it all night. So we did not feel that we had a basis to burden the people with the sound requirement. We did limit the hours of operation and such factors as best we could. So that was the recommendation of the 9-member Planning Commission. So as Darwin explained, that will be going to the attorney for a draft. Then there'll be come back to this council for the first reading, at which time citizens can come and comment again. And the council has at that time the opportunity to decide whether to make any changes to the ordinance or leave it as it may be, or even discard it if they so choose. So there will be another opportunity for you to come and speak.
Catherine Lewandowski, 152 Bellevue Avenue, Lake Orion, Michigan. So in reference to anything that's given a permit utility-wise in place between two homes. If there's already an issue with the two neighbors in reference to a utility going between the two homes, why isn't one of the neighbors being told ahead of time before this type of thing happens? Like, so there's no letter that goes out that says, hey, we're going to have a meeting about this. This is what's happening. Nothing, there's no notification through our village to someone that has already a situation.
Darwin, could you address that for us, please?
So for mechanical units that are installed outside a residence or a structure, it receives zoning approval. We go through the normal process of reviewing zoning compliance. There are only certain situations under the ordinance that requires public notice regarding zoning. That is a zoning ordinance text amendment, or if there's a rezoning of a property, those require public notice within 300 feet of the subject property. Normal zoning reviews for things like mechanical units are not required under the ordinance to provide public notice. And I'm trying to recall the particulars of this case. I believe that after the unit was installed, there was some question as to whether or not it met the distance requirements from adjacent windows or structures. That was looked into. We determined that the unit did meet that requirement. The noise issue was the only remaining issue from a code enforcement standpoint. Our ordinance requires that generators not exceed 55 decibels in noise, and there was some question as to whether or not that unit would comply with that. In the meantime, the Planning Commission had initiated a change to the zoning ordinance to further refine the requirements for generators. And that notice did go out to everyone. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on that at their last regular meeting and discussed changes to the ordinance. And they did, as Councilmember Lamb indicated, recommend to the council certain changes to the zoning ordinance. Number one, that generators only be tested or maintenance work be performed between the hours of 12 noon and 4 p.m. And that generators only be operated when there is an actual loss of power, that they cannot be operated at any other time. So those are being put into ordinance text amendments, and those will be coming to council. But the notice on the zoning ordinance change notice did go out to property owners within 300 feet, and it was also published.
Thank you.
So knowing that there was a constant complaint between our home and a neighbor's home, knowing that we had done everything we could, and the ordinance officer had come out, he measured with us, he didn't meet 10 foot, he came back out, they met 10 foot. Wes and the chief came out, they didn't meet 10 foot. Wes and the chief came back out with Officer Hammond, they met 10 foot. It all depends on how you measure it. If you're measuring it from corner to corner of the window, you don't get 10 foot. We weren't notified. This install of the generator was installed without a permit in the very beginning. Then it was permitted. So if you, I mean, in theory then, right, go ahead and install whatever you want as a utility between your home. You don't have to have a permit. You do have to apply for one eventually. but you don't have to have one to install it and run it. See if it works when you install it. So,
Catherine, I suggest you come to the next meeting when the ordinance is being held, and if you have some amendments to the ordinance that you'd like to propose, such as notifications, you can suggest that to the village council at that time. That would be an appropriate time to bring those concerns.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I move to receive and file the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes of June 2026.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearings, we have none, so other items, item 10, and I will just state, before we get into all of the agenda items, I know there's a lot of public here, there's been a lot of public the last few, and I've heard a lot of talk about the long meetings, and I apologize for not holding our council members to the same standards that we hold the public. Our rules and procedures do say 2 comments by council members, 5 minutes and 3 minutes, and so I will be holding the council to the same standards that we hold our members of the public to as well. So item 10A, request for permanent easement, 347 North Broadway, Greg Barron. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, council is scheduled to consider providing direction to administration as to whether the council is interested in considering a request from Greg Barron of 347 North Broadway for a permanent easement across village property located between North Broadway and North Lapeer Streets to permit Mr. Barron to install a driveway for a new garage. I provided the council with all the background information on this matter. And we have reviewed the request administratively. We've reviewed the village's utilities in the area, and we've determined that only water main utilities exist within the greenbelt area adjacent to the paved roadway in the area being requested for an easement. And our Public Works Director had determined that granting an easement across village property would not adversely impact the Public Works Department's ability to maintain the water system. Administration is recommending that council authorize me and the village attorney to negotiate with the property owner an appropriate permanent easement agreement with certain conditions.
Council. Mr. Lanner.
Darwin, my only question is, we've had a little class on compensation, and we talked about equitable costs and money and stuff. So is this something that would be considered a financial gain by the property owner? And is there a dollar amount that would be associated with granting an easement of this nature? Or is this just simply a convenience issue to accommodate some difficulty the citizen has with their property?
That would be a discussion that the village attorney and I would have with the property owner. It does add value to this property because this property currently has no vehicle access to the property. They have no driveway. They have no way except through access through the parking lot adjacent to the village's parking lot. They have been historically using that to access the rear of their property. But that's not a permanent solution. That's privately owned property. I believe the property owner, Mr. Barron, would like to resolve this matter on a permanent basis. We believe it would add value to this property if they had a permanent easement. But what dollar amount that would result in is something that would be subject to further review and discussion with the property owner.
So what action are you asking from us tonight?
Just authorization to engage in,
Engage in negotiation.
I provided a recommended motion that includes authorization to engage in discussion and what the conditions would be with those discussions.
Then I'm willing to make the recommended motion, and we can, I'm sorry, George, we can continue our discussion. I should have made the motion right away. To authorize the village manager and village attorney to negotiate with Greg Barron, property owner of 347 North Broadway, for the possible, I'm going to add a word, for the possible drafting, execution, and recording of an appropriate easement agreement across the portion of the village property located at 330 North Lapeer Street, et cetera, et cetera. Subject to the following conditions. The property owner reimburses the village for all costs associated with the potential drafting, execution, and recording of the easement agreement. And 2, the property owner pays reasonable compensation to the village for the easement. The proposed easement agreement shall be submitted to the village council for final approval prior to execution.
Support.
So I believe you said that there's a water main that runs under where this driveway will be?
Yes,
And
in the Greenbelt area.
I guess I don't know what the greenbelt area is, but, so the question would be...
Between the sidewalk and the paved roadway.
Okay, if we need to do repairs on that water main and have to tear up the driveway, who would be responsible for those repairs?
Just like with any driveway, if we tear up a driveway approach because we've got water main we need to repair, that would be a cost that would be borne as part of the water main repair. So by the water and sewer fund.
And is that, but is this different because it's an easement on village property? You know, is there a distinction?
It would not be different. I'm sure there are many other driveways in the village that run over driveway approaches that go over public utilities, whether they're sewers or water mains, so this would be no different.
Mr. Lamb?
I'm sorry, Darwin, as usual, the plans are sketchy and the proposals are difficult. So I'm looking at this plan by Fenton Land Survey, and I notice that there appears to be adequate room adjacent to the house for a driveway to the back of the property. It says there's 14.4 feet from the street to the back. So I would ask that. Do we own this whole parking lot? Is that the one we took title to? Is that
Yes.
correct?
The triangular piece, yes.
Yeah. And so the proposal is to put a driveway through a village parking lot.
No.
Over water.
The driveway would be coming across, coming off of West Elizabeth Street, along the rear of the property.
These plans stink. Or
So
we should have this
it's a green belt, correct?
We should have this on the screen so we could talk about it. We should have all the minutes on the screen at every meeting so that the people can see what this stuff is. Okay, so you're talking about the front corner of the property where the side yard setback is not clearly shown, but they have a deck. Is that the area you're talking about? There's a deck, and then there's a dimension to the sidewalk that says 18.6 feet. Is that the section you're looking to get an easement for?
So you see where the proposed garage is, correct?
I don't know which one of these plans. I've got two plans. I'm looking at the first one.
So the first plan.
Can you put this on the screen or
Page
no?
161.
All right, there's several. 162, I was looking at 161.
It shows a proposed garage and then a driveway going to the north. The hatched-in area at the north end of that
No,
driveway.
I found it. That's all right. I was looking at.
That would be the
yeah.
easement area.
Okay, so basically, it's,
It would not,
that's not just, we're basically,
it's just grass area right now.
yeah, why don't we just sell him the whole lot? I mean, it's basically what you're doing. You're taking a parcel, a village parcel, and you're suggesting we grant him an easement for a driveway, but you're taking the entire use of the property and give it to them. There's no other use for the property. So is there another use for this property for the village?
Well, to the west of that is the village's parking lot.
Yeah, so so these considerations, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing this, but what I'm saying, that's quite a consideration, considerable change to the property. And that's why I put those words in there, possible agreement, possible, because the first thing that should be determined is the village should determine whether or not that's a buildable lot and has any significant value. The second thing that should be done is if it does meet that criteria, then that property should possibly be considered for auction. If it doesn't meet the criteria of being a buildable lot, then we should consider first selling the lot in its entirety to take it off our maintenance, because I really don't want to mow somebody's yard. We have enough problems with the DPW right now. So those are my comments with regard to this, and I wish that it was up on the big screen so that the people could see. And so that, but I support you looking into it.
Any other council comments? Questions? Mr. Dingley?
Would there be a downside to selling it? Legally, can we, and would there be a downside? Because I kind of think what Michael's saying makes some sense.
So in the plat, this property is designated as park. We have always thought that the village owned that property because it was never, there was never any other owner for that property. It was platted as a park. We recently concluded a quiet title action to make it clear that this was village-owned property because we had paved a parking lot on that property.
They stole it.
So in the charter, there are certain provisions for, and I believe the charter says that we cannot dispose of park land without a vote of the people. So it limits our options for disposing of the property.
Any other council comments? Questions? Public comments or questions?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's part of the property right over here, isn't it? Right over here, right up by the school, right
Yes.
there. Yeah, wasn't that the piece of property that you just made all of the village people that own part of that turn it over to you guys? Instead of working with them, you send them a letter in the mail stating either you take possession of this property and you pay taxes on this property, or we're taking you to court for this property. So you basically want to take the property from the people that owned it over here. Now you're talking about selling it. What is wrong with this picture? Instead of going to the people that owned it, the people that live all up and down my street, and on my street, my landlords and the people that owned it, and saying, hey, you got this piece of property over here. Why don't we work something out with you, with your taxes? We'll knock $1,000 off your taxes or some flip-flap. No, you turn around and you send your village attorney to send letters out to my landlords and all my neighbors, telling them, look, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, you don't do this, we're taking this land, and we're going to take you to court if you fight us. So you force my neighbors and my landlords to give you this property that was theirs. It was theirs. Now you want to turn around and sit here and tell us all you want to sell it? And you want to put a parking lot over a water main that we've already got issues with. What is wrong with this picture? Am I the only one that sees the ignorance in the things you people are doing? My buddy's house is sitting over here behind the Irish Tavern. His walls are flooding because nobody wants to take the time to look at the water that's flowing under the parking lot. And now you want to put a parking lot over a water main and then sell it. What's wrong with this picture? Am I seeing something wrong here? Am I not seeing things quite clearly? Or am I seeing them too clearly and there aren't any answers? Because all you people want to do is keep covering shit up. You see, this is the issue we have. It's time to fix these things. That water's still flowing.
We have to keep our comments limited to the parcel.
Well, it has to do with the parking lot and all this, and you want to keep putting, now you want to put a parking lot over a water main out here. That's probably already there. And that's probably why we're already having issues. And now you want to put a garage there? Or sell it? So what do you think my landlord and all my neighbors are going to say when I go walking home and I say, hey, you know that property they just stole from you? Now they're going to sell it so they get profit. What's wrong with this picture, people? It's time to get your heads together, get the show on the road. Do things right. If you can't do your job, can't take the heat, get out. Have a good night, Mr. Dandelitis. Sorry you can't take the heat. You did exactly what needs to be done.
Your 4 minutes are over. Thank you.
Your Honor, if I could respond.
Teresa, I want to withdraw my motion. I'm going to withdraw my motion.
I would not like to withdraw my support.
No, I want to withdraw my motion. What do you do when I want to withdraw my motion?
I don't remember that.
We don't remember what to do.
Yeah, I don't think you need support to withdraw.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
I'm so
fine.
sorry.
But,
That's fine.
but another council member is free to make the motion.
Yeah, this is, I think this needs more. I think we're reaching into it's paying the lawyer a lot of money, pocket thing again. I think this needs to go back for more study and a little better information to the council about the status. I don't even know the existing status of the property or the plat. Remember with our current property inventory issues and the ownership and the discussions at private council, we had discussions in private session regarding things of this nature. I think it would be appropriate that we not establish a precedent on village-owned property by encouraging an easement without adequately addressing the underlying plat and the ownership rights of the property. And I don't see that information here. I was totally unaware of all of this stuff.
Well, I would like to make the motion myself the recommended motion to authorize the manager to negotiate with the property owner, as stated in the recommended motion. And hearing no support, that motion does not go on. And so my comments are, I see that we have done research. We do have a title for this property. We can't sell it according to our charter as it's platted, so we have done research. Our Department of Public Works, our former Department of Public Works Director, has determined that it will not adversely affect the ability to maintain the water system. There are no other utilities there, and so I don't see a reason why we cannot authorize the manager to move forward in drafting a proposal for this easement. I don't see any other conflicting issues that are here. There is currently a parking lot that already exists, but not on this piece of the property. So we're not putting a parking lot on it. It's a driveway. Many of our driveways in the village already go over water mains, all over. They have to go somewhere. They go under roads. They go under sidewalks. They go under driveways to access our properties. And so I don't see any reason why we can't move forward, and what kind of resources then we would have to spend to move this forward, since it seems the administration has already done its research into it.
And Your Honor, if I could clarify a few things. First of all, we were approached by the property owner, who has a unique situation. The village has no interest in selling property. This is meant as a way to try to help a property owner who has no vehicular access to their property on their own because of the configuration of the property. The home was constructed probably before vehicles. This is meant as a means to try to help that property owner. I think far and away the majority of our citizens can understand and appreciate the village trying to do what it can reasonably without burdening the taxpayers with the cost of it. That's what we're trying to do here. The whole quiet title process was completely mischaracterized. We have always assumed that we owned this property. The village for many, many years has maintained this property. We built a parking lot on that property. It wasn't until recently that we found out that in fact the ownership of that property was in question. That's why we initiated the quiet title process, to determine once and for all whether the village owned the property or if they didn't. A notice went out to everybody, all the property owners of the lots within that platted subdivision. All of those property owners were given an opportunity to appear in court or to make statements as to whether or not they had claims to that property. And to my knowledge, no one made a claim. The court granted the ownership of the property to the village. There was nothing nefarious done. It was all done above board, according to process. And the village does own this property. And I'm not aware that we have any interest in getting rid of the property. We're simply trying to help an adjacent property owner have access to their property and do it in a way that has minimal impact on our taxpayers.
You know, how many more times do I get?
You've already spoken twice.
Two-ish?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make
And
a
so-
motion then?
You can make a motion.
Okay. Make a motion to return this back to the village manager and for us to reconsider at another meeting after he has answered sufficient questions, not about the property ownership. That is not the issue at hand here. It's about the value of the property, the potential uses of the property, and how would this the easement affect the overall value of the village-owned property.
Support. We have a motion and support.
So my main reason, what's the motion? It cuts the property in half. What happens to the piece on the other side? There's some real issues here. I understand the need to help the citizen. I have no desire to not help the citizen, but I need to make sure that we're not spending a lot of legal dollars. You know, negotiating. There's valuations. There's a lot of money involved in it. So I'd like some more answers, if you wouldn't mind.
Your Honor, with all due respect, what is happening here with this motion is now we are assuming costs that we wouldn't otherwise have. The motion that I requested is to engage in negotiation with the property owner, working with the village attorney. The property owner has agreed to pay all reasonable costs associated with the drafting of an easement agreement that would come back to the council for final approval. We will also engage in negotiations on a reasonable and fair price for that easement area. And so the village would incur virtually no cost for this process. But by changing it so that now we are doing all of this research and valuing the property, those are costs that are on us. And I think we're accomplishing the same thing, but one way we are doing it in a way to help the property owner and not incurring the costs, and the other way we would be incurring costs. I strongly recommend to the council that we handle this the way that I recommended to council, if the council is interested in having us pursue it.
Thank you. Any more public comments? So we have a motion to direct the village manager to do more research and come back to the council with potential costs and impacts to
I think I misstated. I believe what I wanted to do is come back to us and describe to us the exact current nature of the property, its ownership, the relationship to the plat, the relationship of the residents' ownership to the plat, okay? And then I would like to know, what's going to happen to the property when the guy puts a driveway through the middle of it? And what are we going to do with the remainder parcel? I know what's going to happen to the parking lot on the left. So we're just, putting an easement through a contiguous piece of property that is on a main road that has valuable frontage. That's a nice piece of property. I think I put an apartment building there. Okay? That's, the village.
Well, I just was clarifying the motion.
Okay.
So is that clear for purposes? So direct the administration to come back with information on the property, including the impact to the property, with granting the easement, what happens to the rest of it, the information about title and ownership and use of the property, and what will happen if an easement is granted. Is that in summary?
Yeah, that won't cost a lot of money. That's just Darwin have to put together another packet for us.
All right, we have a motion and we have support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. Item 10C, approval of interlocal agreement, Clements Authority Participation Agreement. Mr. McCleary.
Sorry, Your Honor, my screen just shrunk on me.
300 pages.
Your Honor, members of council, the Village of Lake Orion Police Department currently utilizes Clements for law enforcement records management, computer-aided dispatch, mobile data access, information sharing, and related public safety services. Historically, Clements has operated as a program administered by Oakland County, but effective February 1st, Oakland County and participating agencies created the Courts and Law Enforcement Management Information System, or Clements Authority, as a separate intergovernmental entity under the Urban Cooperation Act to govern and operate the system. Participation in the authority requires member agencies to execute a participation agreement and associated main services agreement. And we are recommending approval of that agreement.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to direct administration to approve the resolution authorizing the village to enter into the Clements Authority Participation Agreement and Clements Main Services Agreement, and authorize the village manager to execute all documents necessary to effectuate participation in the Clements Authority.
Second.
Council comments? Public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10D, approval to participate in Oakland County CDBG program for program years 2027 through 2029. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, council is scheduled to consider approving the Village of Lake Orion's participation in the Oakland County Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program, for program years 2027 through 2029. The village has historically participated as an entitlement community through the county program and received approximately $9,000 annually in grant allocations. Recently, the county transitioned to a competitive program for its participating local communities, in which each community can apply for funding regardless of the amount. So it's possible that if we identify a major project, we can apply for funding that is well in excess of the $9,000 annual allocations we used to receive. We believe that this is a benefit to the village to continue participating, and we are requesting council authorization to execute the letter of intent. Actually, I do want to note the president already executed the letter. No council member had expressed concerns about continued participation. So if for some reason the council no longer wishes to participate, we would need to rescind that letter of intent.
So I'll make the motion to authorize the Village Lake Orion to continue its participation in the Oakland County Community Development Block Grant Program for program years 27 through 29, and to authorize the village president, village manager, and village clerk to execute all necessary documents relating to the village's participation.
Support.
Only one question?
Yeah.
Specifically in the letter, Darwin, it said that once again, the people in the village are being left out. You said specifically the village area east of M24 is the only area that's eligible for any of these grants or funds. So I just want to point out that once again, the west side of M24 is getting left out of another government handout program. And can you explain the reason briefly to me so that...
Sure. So the village has no control over that.
Yes.
Those are federal guidelines. The CDBG eligible area within the village is based on income limits. And the east side of M24, the entire village east of M24, meets the low and moderate income limits for eligibility for CDBG funding. The village is divided into a number of census block group areas, and those block group areas are the ones that are eligible under the income limits. West of M24, none of those census block areas meet the income limits. That's why we can only use CDBG funds on the east side of M24.
Could you just briefly share, like, what are types of projects that are eligible for CDBG funding?
There's a number of potential projects, sidewalk improvements, handicap accessible, if it's related to handicap accessibility, certain park improvements, again, if it addresses a HUD need, for example, providing universal access to park equipment. There's a number of programs that these funds could be used for.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb?
So Darwin, I live in that area. I live farther from that area, but there is a core area west of M24 for the village, moderately priced homes. They're not on the lake shore. They cluster around, so they're excluded, even though I'd say they're at the same economic level as the downtown. Okay, I mean, who determines that block level?
The federal government through census data.
So there's a map that you can show me with,
You
it just
have the
says
map.
this is the map right here?
You have the map.
Is that the map? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so it doesn't make sense, but thank you for answering the questions.
Other council questions or comments? Public questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10E, second reading and adoption, amendment to Chapter 53, outdoor irrigation metering. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, council is scheduled to give second reading to and adopt amendments to Chapter 53 of the Village Code of Ordinances to permit outdoor irrigation metering. The proposed ordinance accomplishes several things. It authorizes separate outdoor irrigation metering, establishes the process and procedures for application, installation, and approval of outdoor irrigation meters, establishes the process and procedures for reading irrigation meters, adjusting sewerage bills, and reversion of billing if irrigation lines or meters are modified or bypassed without approval. It establishes maintenance, ownership, and responsibility for irrigation meters by the village and protection of irrigation meters, prohibits tampering with irrigation meters, seals, or services lines, and establishes penalties for tampering. It requires compliance with cross-connection and backflow prevention control regulations of the village and state. It provides for enforcement penalties and service termination for non-compliance, and it authorizes the setting of fees by resolution of council for the application for separate irrigation meters, irrigation meter installation or deposit, meter testing, turn off and turn on, late payments, backflow prevention, device inspections or verification, and other fees.
Thank you. Council. Mr. Dandelides.
So I guess first of all, I'll make the motion to give second reading to and adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 53, water to permit the metering of outdoor irrigation and the adjustment of sanitary sewer bills accordingly, and to direct the village clerk to publish the required notice of the same.
Support.
So the only question I have is, when we reviewed this the last time, we talked about would there be a requirement to pay the fixed rate or the RTS or whatever we call it on the second meter? And
There would not.
So, and I didn't read that in this, I don't know if this is an update, but was there modifications to what this ordinance says to that effect?
This ordinance doesn't require that clarification because our other ordinances indicate that the meter that is servicing the structure is the one that is charged the base rate or the ready-to-serve charge. That is the meter that the RTS is based on.
Okay, so there would only be one RTS?
Yes.
Thank you.
Other council questions, comments? Any public questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10F, introduction of Village of Lake Orion 26 to 29 pavement asset management plan. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, Council is scheduled to receive the Village of Lake Orion's proposed 2026 through 2029 pavement asset management plan and to schedule the plan for consideration for adoption at your July 27th meeting prior to the plan submission to the Michigan Department of Transportation. So tonight is just being introduced to you for informational purposes for you to be able to review. At your July 27th meeting is when we will discuss the plan in detail and hopefully receive authorization from council to adopt it and to submit it to the Michigan Department of Transportation. What this plan does, we are not required to have a pavement asset management plan because we do not have at least 100 miles, lane miles of roadway within the village. But by adopting a plan, it allows us for a great deal of flexibility in the use of Act 51 funds, major and local street funds, for our local street maintenance and capital projects. Right now we are limited to a maximum of 50% of the major streets annual allocation of Act 51 funds to be able to transfer to the local street fund for local street projects. We cannot transfer fund balances. We cannot transfer anything over that 50% of the current year's allocation. We've received clarification from MDOT that if we adopt this plan and file it with MDOT, we will not only be able to use up to 100% of the major street funds for local streets, but we will also be able to use the accumulated fund reserves in the major street fund for local improvements as well if we need to. So it provides a great deal of additional flexibility for us in our street program.
Thank you. Council. Well, I'll make the motion to receive the proposed Village of Lake Orion 26 to 29 pavement asset management plan, PAMP, and to schedule the proposed plan for consideration for adoption at the Village Council's July 27, 2026 regular meeting.
Second.
I guess my question is, so then at that next meeting, would our village engineers be there to, are they planning on being there to answer questions if there's going to be consideration, or is that just, it's open for council discussion and?
We will have the engineers here.
Mr. Papchick.
Yeah, I like having this plan for a couple of reasons. One, like you said, it helps us use and allocate a bigger percentage of the funds, which is great, but I also like the assessment of our streets, right? You know, Haven't walked on every street, but it was pretty eye-opening when it said 95% of the local roads are in poor condition. So I know the ones I walk on are pretty rough. This kind of confirms that most of them are pretty rough. Only one little section was rated as good. So I think we'll get into the discussions of, these are going to be expensive repairs, and do you want to bring them up to a statewide average, or do you want to get them all to fair or good? I mean, there's millions of dollars here. So yeah, I think that's more to come, but I like having this because it gives us a good assessment of where we're at and the real severity of our degrading roads here.
Mr. Lamb?
Yeah, I concur with Eric's remarks. It says here the state average for non-federal roads, 43% of the roads in the state of Michigan are in poor condition. It says 95% of Lake Orion's local roads are in poor condition, and 56% of Lake Orion's major roads are in poor condition. Then the next section down, the little bullet point, it says to bring the entire network up to fair or good condition ratings is projected to cost $11 million. So I just want to bring that up early in the game, the $11 million, and then onto the $29 million and the funding, majority of funding by the taxpayers. We're going to continue along the path we continue to go along. A lot more money, $11 million. A lot more money.
Other council comments, questions? Public comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and support. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10G, review of Village Hall hours of operation. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, members of council, the council is scheduled to review and consider any changes to the Village Hall hours of operation due to the impending retirement of Office Coordinator Barb Bryce. I would be remiss if I did not bring this to council and give you the opportunity to provide input since we have an opportunity to take advantage of attrition to make any changes we want at this time to the Village Hall operations. I'm requesting input and direction from council on this matter.
Thank you. Well, there's a recommended motion, and I'll make it just because I was in favor of this anyway from the get-go, to approve a change in Village Hall administrative hours of operations from the current Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, to a new schedule Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30, effective Monday, August 3rd.
Support.
There's a motion and support. So my comments are, I was never in favor of expanding to the 5-day work week. And as I have come in since we transitioned to the 5-day work week, I sometimes intentionally come in on a Friday, just because, to give our staff something to do. And they consistently comment, there's been one person in here, there's been two people in here. And so if it allows for us to be more efficient and also achieve a cost savings for the village, since as the background information has stated that the full-time position would be filled and the part-time position would be eliminated that was created when we went to the 5-day work week. So it would receive a cost savings of approximately $26,000 a year for the village, according to the financial impact on the summary sheet. And I've always been in favor of the Monday through Thursday. If you look at the records, I voted against going through Monday through Friday. So my recommendation would be to go back to it because I didn't see any adverse effects from the Monday through Thursday. Other council comments? Yes, Mr. Dandelides.
So, on the flip side of it, okay, I was the one that brought up the 5-day schedule, and I believe that we need that. We're running a service department here. We're running a service organization, and we should be service-oriented. I asked at the time when this decision was made, if there was any data to support not needing a Friday. Now we've been working a Friday schedule for I don't know how long now, at least 6 months. I would ask, do we have call log data by day? Do we have walk-in data by day? Do we have any kind of data that supports the administration's opinion that the number of customers and phone calls received on Fridays does not justify the increase? The other thing that I would ask is, and I asked for this when we made this decision, I asked that we do a trial run with the existing staff and see if we could manage the 5-day schedule, and that was not accepted. We went right in and hired another person at the cost of $34,000. We didn't try it. We didn't try to come up with a solution. We just went right in and hired the person. I also suggested at that time, if we're hiring somebody to cover additional hours, then let's focus that person on something, I guess something more, I don't want to say constructive, but we have a need for grant writing, right? We have a need for trying to fund grant money. So why wouldn't, if we're going to add somebody, why wouldn't we add somebody who can focus on grant writing instead of just being there in case somebody comes in? And that was also turned down. So my recommendation would be that let's try something, let's consider something different, let's not just jump in and assume that we've got to spend $34,000 for an additional person. Or if we want to run it like a service organization, then let's do what the rest of the world does, and let's just work 5-8 hours a day and be done with it. So those are my thoughts.
Other council, Mr. Lamb.
Yeah, so I supported George in the majority of those comments at the time. I had my own reasons for wanting additional staff, because I wanted the additional staff to take up additional work duties more efficiently in the village, and that plan also did not come to fruition. Also, we had the DPW director and a DPW foreman, and they worked 5 days a week, and their presence in the office was often disrupted by whoever would come in on Fridays. So having staff in the window office and staff in the offices, I thought was appropriate for a service organization. And I do agree that, if we're going to provide services, they should be here 5 days a week.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
However, the previous administration and managers decided to embark upon the 4-day work week, and then they hired staff who were hired in on 4-day work weeks. And so we decided that we could not force all those employees, because it's very difficult to fill these jobs, to go to a 5-day work week. So now that we're short-staffed, we don't have a DPW director on Fridays, we don't have a DPW foreman on Fridays, there's no one else in the office on Fridays, we have a staff leaving. I'm all for shutting down for Fridays again, for the financial reason. So I will temporarily agree to shut the office down to 4 days a week, because we don't have anybody to staff it.
This is why we're going to change the village.
It's pretty...
Give them Wednesday off.
Excuse me, it's council debate. There will be public comment in a few moments when council has finished making theirs. Mr. Pepchek.
Yeah, I tend to align with closing down on Friday right now. I think what we're seeing is a lot of infrastructure and costs and big issues, and saving $25,000, $26,000 isn't going to fix all of that, but maybe it's a small enough step to, when we're talking about priorities, maybe that recurring savings, if it's working at a acceptable service level and people get used to no Fridays, and that savings could help out a little bit. Again, a piece to a big puzzle, but for now I think it makes sense to close on Fridays.
Ms. Mosher.
I agree with you. It's really about the money, and we have so many other things to pay for that if this can work and can run efficiently, and I go back and forth with this because we are a service organization, but we are short-staffed, and if there's a way that we can save the $26,000
I think we should give it a try. That's not to say that we're going to stick with this forever again. You know, it might be we bring it up again at a later date. But for now, we have to look at the money, and that is really important. Because we got a lot going on.
There are public comments.
Why don't we take Wednesday off?
Please come up to the podium.
Why don't we take Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday off? Why do we always have to give them a 3-day weekend? I'm just saying, you're giving them a 3-day weekend. What the hell you need? Forget Friday and Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, or Tuesday. I think that's wonderful. And you know what? We're going to save $26,000. So what day are you going to choose? That's how I look at it. Sorry. And I'm not mad at any of you. I'm just frustrated as hell. That's all. So don't take it personally. And I've got at my other comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're-
Mr. Siegel.
Oh, sorry.
Barry Stephen, thinking back in the 4-day week, we went to a 10-hour day so that we could still justify 40 hours of pay for the people, which is normal to be expected. We went to the 5-day week, and we still have office hours that are open 10 hours a day. I would suggest a study how much work is being done or contact with the public from 7:30 to 8:30, and let's say from 4:30 to 5:30, which are the additional hours that were in there. If you check the township office hours, they're 8:30 to 4:30, a full 8-hour day, 5 days a week. And so, since they are our partners in whatever we do, it would seem to make sense to use the same amount and reduce our office hours from 10 hours a day to 8 hours a day, which is a normal work day. I'm in support of 5 days with a shorter work day for each of those days, namely 8 hours, not 10 hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments.
I was going to suggest the same thing pretty much, drop it back down to your average work week. Kind of like, you know, you wanted to change the meeting time from 7 o'clock till 6:30. Well, since I've sat here a few times, you know, that I do come here once in a while, I've noticed that people show up here right around 7:15, thinking that the meeting is just starting, and they don't realize they've gotten here 45 minutes later. These kind of things matter.
Thank you.
Money
Other public
ends up,
comments. We have a motion, but we'll wait till the council member returns back in.
I have another,
Yeah.
I have another comment. And we can wait for Michael. Go ahead.
I'm gonna work out, see what works for everybody.
If you want to make your comment, you can.
Okay,
Oh, wait.
so I find it very, very interesting, first of all, that we're all willing to just jump right in with no data whatsoever. The other thing that I find interesting is if you rewind the clock 6 months, and I argued not adding $26,000 and let's give it a try, nobody was interested in doing that, right? And now I'm sitting here with the same people that are arguing, oh, we can't afford $26,000, you know, we got to save that money. So where are we trying something? Where are we saying, let's save the $26,000, give it 90 days. Let's save the $26,000 for 90 days and let's come back with some data, something that suggests this is a necessity. Why are we just assuming? We assumed before that it didn't matter that we spent $26,000. We took it for granted. And now all of a sudden it's a big deal to save $26,000. Why aren't we trying something? Or if we're going to spend the $26,000, let's get a grant writer and somebody who can actually maybe generate some dollars coming in. That to me makes sense. I don't understand we're just going to go ahead and do this.
Well, I guess I thought when we did this that there were going to be different obligations and maybe somebody to do some grant writing. So maybe I misunderstood that as well, but you heard it the same way. So
It was turned down.
I know. So, like I said, I go back and forth with this, but if the extra $26,000 isn't really benefiting the village, the office in the village, then, if we're not utilizing that person the way that at least I thought it was going to be, he or she was going to be utilized, then I have to say I agree with you, George. Chelsea may have been not.
Your Honor, if I could clarify
Yes.
a couple of things. First of all, I don't want to give the impression that we don't have the staffing to be able to staff the current operations. We do. We need to remember what we did 6 months ago. We didn't just go to 5 days a week from 4 days a week at the same number of hours. We added 10 hours a week. The village operates 50 hours a week. Can you name any other community in the state of Michigan that operates 50? I'm speaking. That operates 50 hours a week. That's why we needed the additional part-time person, because we went from 40-hour operations a week to 50 hours a week. And we talked about this during the meetings that we had. So let's be clear about this. That's why we have the additional cost. When we were operating under a 4-day work week, which we did for, I think, 3.5 years, we had a part-time person. That person left, and I eliminated that position because I determined with the 4-day work week, we didn't have to have that position and we could save those monies. And then we went back to a 5-day week, expanded hours, 50 hours a week, and we had to have that person back. There's a cost attached to that, $25,693, if I remember correctly. The question is, because I've talked to my staff, they said, on average, we probably get 3 people in on a Friday. Sometimes it's 1. There have been some times when we've had nobody come in on a Friday. My question to the council is serving 3 people, 5 people, 1 person at a cost of almost $26,000 a year, is that a reasonable expense? We don't have to have all this debate and attacking and everything. I'm just asking you, is $26,000 to serve between 1 and 5 people on a Friday worth the expense? Because we've had many discussions about saving costs. During our budget work sessions, we talked about how can we save costs. So I bring something to you where we can save costs, and then we get beat up about it. So I need to know, what is the expectation of the council here? Do you want me to bring these types of ideas forward or not? But all I'm looking for you is direction.
Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
It's two per council, and it's only one per.
I didn't do
I
anything.
know, you get your second one
What
yet.
about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
It's only one per member of the public. Mr. Lamb.
Because Friday is our least busy day.
How do you know that?
Data.
Can I?
Yes.
Where's the data?
Yes.
I know, I'm sorry, but where's the data?
Excuse me.
Sucking
Yeah,
data.
Mr. Lamb.
I come in on Friday.
Am I allowed to give George my time?
Sure, I'll allow it.
George, I said enough. You can have my second Chuck.
So I'm not trying to attack, and quite honestly, my expectation is data. My expectation is data, something that I can look at that's quantifiable, that says, here's, over the last 3 months, these are the people we served, or these are the calls that we had. Something more substantial than what we're getting. and I'm not seeing it. That's my expectation.
So, member of the public who hasn't spoken.
Dave Otto, 634 Buena Vista Avenue, Lake Orion, Michigan. I sat in the 5:30 meeting when this was brought up by George, and I believe they left it up to Darwin to put together the hours of operation. So if you chose 50 hours, that was your decision. Because I remember back when, excuse me, I think I'm talking now.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I remember sitting back, and I remember Mr. Lamb was very excited because $30,000 didn't matter. We were going to hire somebody new. Okay, now we're going 6 months later, and we're switching it up. And again, if we service one person on a Friday, as a member of the community, you're doing your job. I don't care if it's 3, 2, 1, it doesn't matter. You're serving us. 40 hours is what all we're asking for, and if you decided to go to 50, or if the council decided to go to 50, that was your guys' decision. If you want to go back to 40 for 5 days, that makes sense. I think Mr. Stevens brought up a great point. What does the township do? Why don't we follow what the township does? They're doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're no bigger than the township, I can tell you that. So that's just my comment.
So for my second comment, I would say a couple of the reasons. So the question is why Friday? Because Friday is the least attended day of the week. Also we are not we don't offer the highest salaries around for our employees. And so one way to attract talented employees is to provide benefits that do not cost us extra dollars. And so we can attract more talented employees if we can offer a 4-day work week. It means they get a 3-day weekend, but they're still working their 40 hours. They're working 10-hour days, and some people that's challenging for. And so we made, under the previous administration, that was one of the considerations that we had, is to allow us to be more competitive in the job market for our employees as well. And that matters too, because we want talented employees, we want good employees here. And it was a council decision to go to 50 hours. It was not an administrative decision. And so currently our employees do work 4-day weeks, but they flex. Some of them go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Some of them go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So they're still working those 4-day weeks, but we have it open 50 hours a week, and we are spending money for an extra employee. And so going back to a Monday through Thursday, which we did for a number of years, and from what I've heard from our administration is that it's, 1 to 5 people come in on a Friday, which I would assume, maybe I'll ask the direct question, more people come in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing affirmation of that. So that's why it's not Wednesday, that's why it's not Tuesday, it's a Friday, because that is the least attended day of the week. So, yes.
So Tracy Woodrum, 187 East Elizabeth Street. I like Mr. Dandelides' comments. I do know that the employees currently work 4/10. So it's not that we're asking an employee to work 50 hours a week. They kind of stagger who's in on which days. There's a lot of discussion over saving $26,000. It is unclear if there is a vacant position for that, or if you would be eliminating somebody that you just gave a job to within the last 6 months. But I do like the suggestion that let's run it, whether it's 5/8s or 5/10s, but continue with that, with the not having that position that was created, and is the work getting done. But then because it's not all walk up, right? There's things that happen behind the scenes. So if those things are still getting done, just depending on which days employees work, then I guess I don't understand why we wouldn't trial it instead of just making, let's do this now, let's reverse it, let's do this. There's a lot of whiplash, it feels like. So, and then again, all this talk for savings, and I see farther down, there's requests for adding costs. So anyway, I agree with Mr. Dandelides. So, thanks.
So we have a motion on the floor. The current motion is to approve a change in Village Hall administrative hours from the current Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, to a new schedule of Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30, effective Monday, August 3rd. I'll ask for a roll call just for clarity, please.
Papachek?
Yes.
Rutt?
Yes.
Dandelides?
No.
Lamb?
No.
Mosher?
No.
Motion fails. Moving on, unless there's an alternate motion from any council member on this item, since the administration did ask for direction.
Are you talking about the next agenda item?
No, I'm the same one, because our administration had asked for direction, so if anybody wanted to make an alternate motion towards that before we move on.
So,
You want to make the motion? I got
well,
it.
I'm thinking about a motion, something to the effect of asking administration to do an evaluation and come back in 3 months with some data and some specifics on what has worked and what hasn't worked, and let's see if we can come to an agreement that makes sense.
Mr. McClure, when's the retirement occurring? When is the retirement occurring? The staff
The end of
members leave?
August.
End of this month?
End of August.
End of August, so we have approximately 6 weeks to discuss this. So we can find a less crowded meeting to discuss it, less busy agenda.
Well, is there support for Mr. Dandelides' motion?
Well, the other thing, because
Let me see if there's support for your motion before we continue.
What was the motion?
The motion was to direct administration to collect data over the next 3 months and bring it back to council to make a decision. Okay, hear no support for the motion, so we need a different motion to continue discussion, or we'll move on to the next item. Seeing none, we will move on to the next item. Item 10H, review of Public Works operation and structure. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, council members Lamb and Papachek are requesting that council request administration to review the operations and structure of the Public Works Department, including the possibility of contracting out some functions of the department, and to provide a report and recommendations to council. I provided you with a copy of the request from both council members. It is administration's recommendation that council request that the village manager review the operations and structure of the Department of Public Works, including the option of contracting some or all functions of the department to an independent entity if cost savings can be achieved, and to provide my findings and recommendations on options to council not later than your September 14th regular meeting.
Thank you, council.
Yeah, I add a little more color to it, since it's all in the packet, but it just seemed to
We
make...
do need a motion to then discuss on it.
I like the motion. It was just, there was one part that was a little less specific to me, where it said the independent entities. I assume, or maybe we should state that it would be Orion Township or other...
Orion Township, or there are private entities
Right.
that also provide these services.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure at least Orion Township was covered as part of that. But yeah, I would make that motion then with that revision.
Support.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, and part of it, it seemed like the right time to evaluate this, right? We lost a couple of key DPW staff members. So the question was, what kind of data can we gather to figure out the right path forward? You know, instead of just jumping in to replace the DPW, build back the department the exact way it was, maybe we look at that as an option, but then also options to outsource some of the DPW services, all of it, outsource some to the township, to private parties, whatever that might be. But I think this motion is more about doing that analysis rather than making any decisions. I don't think we're going to decide to outsource the DPW tonight. That's not part of the plan. I'd like to see the numbers here, but not just going with the lowest cost option, because we want to make sure that service levels are maintained as well. So, I think there's a couple of components to this, but gathering some of that data, bringing it back, I think would help us assess what our best path forward is here, given some of those departures.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb?
I feel it's the same way. We don't really maintain our own sewer system. We pay the county $500,000 a year plus additional cost to maintain our sewer system. No one's ever said the county gives great service, but no one ever says they're the cheapest. And we haven't looked at that in forever. It's never really been looked at. The water system, we have, it's water, we're connected to the township. We have residents that live in the township that we supply water to. That's a convoluted system. I think looking at it wouldn't harm, getting some data would harm nothing. So I would support that sending Darwin to, he's diligently pursued most of the tasks that we've pursued as far as cost savings, except for the 50-hour-a-week argument. But I'm happy to support that plan.
Mr. Dandelides?
So I think directionally this makes a lot of sense also to do the investigation. However, I do feel, I appreciate Eric's comments on the motion being vague. And I think it's even further vague from the standpoint of, are we asking for perhaps management of our employees or taking over the whole shooting match, or are we talking about taking over certain functions? And I think we need to kind of look at all of those. So I know many of the motions that I've made, I haven't been specific enough. So I'm concerned that this one is not specific enough that we won't get back what we think we're going to get back when it's done. The other comment that I would like to make is, I've spent a lot of energy trying to forge relationships over at the township, and in any discussions with the township, I would at least like to offer my assistance from a relationship standpoint. I think that may be beneficial. So I'd like to throw that out as an offer.
I remember a number of years ago, we had asked the township, we had gone out and solicited the township, and we looked for private entities as well for our sewer lift stations. And I think at that point, the township told us they didn't have capacity to take on our sewer lift stations, and no other outside firm bid or stepped up. I'm wondering if that was due to the aging of our system. And so I think maybe it was Mr. Lamb's information in the packet highlighted that as well. Because I think that could be, since it's all going to be new.
Brand new.
It, could be a significant savings. As, as stated, we pay the WRC over $500,000 every year to maintain, to go, check on our system. And perhaps, since it's new, that the situation will be different now, and we can realize cost savings there. I do think, though, that the motion is appropriately kind of overarching, because it does say, including the option of contracting some or all functions. So it doesn't list out specifically what those are, but it gives latitude for any of those options to realize, cost savings, shared services, and so I think it provides enough leeway and latitude for exploring all the different options that are before us. But I'm particularly interested in the sewer lift station piece of it, because I think we could realize some significant savings there, potentially, since they are going to be new and will not require heavy-duty maintenance for, the foreseeable, short-term future. And, so I'm very open to exploring the options of what can we do to be more efficient, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense.
Yeah, my last short comment, I really appreciate you, George, all the time you're willing to spend to go and talk to the people in the other parts of the community. I don't spend much time talking to the other community people. I spend a lot of time talking to people here in the community. so that you got the time to go out is appreciated. And if there was a vehicle that someone would provide me that would allow you to ride on the cart with Mr. McCleary, I would support that. So, I appreciate it.
Other council comments? Public comments?
Harry Stephen. Due to the idiosyncrasies of municipal finance, the DPW department is spread around so widely, it's very hard to find out really what is the cost of our DPW department, because it's charged off to various different departments. And so that's one thing I would suggest, is that we consolidate and see what is the real cost of our DPW. Another point, in the sewer lift stations, it's my understanding, and I've tried to check this out, that the township did have and does have sewer pump stations. And they did not have the problem that we do. Now, whether that's WDC or what, but they didn't have the same problem that we have. If they have the expertise to avoid those types of problems, we certainly should be reaching out to get that kind of assistance. And from the perspective of whether it's township, private, neighboring municipalities, or whatever, we ought to be exploring all of that. I really feel that somewhere in the range of $1.25 million to $1.5 million is about what we're spending in the DPW department. I don't have that fact because I can't manipulate the numbers good enough to do that, but I think that's something we should know, is what is the real cost of our DPW, and then what services do we want? And this would answer to another question that a young man asked in the earlier comments. In a reorganization, what can we get, and what are our services, and what services do we need? I think those are fundamental questions that ultimately will be answered somewhere down the line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there was a young gentleman up here earlier tonight, stood up here and made a suggestion. Maybe a third party come in, take a look around, see what's happening. This young man doesn't seem to understand this has already been done. All these things that have been spoken here tonight answered every question that young man had. And he's afraid to say something like, well, maybe we should have this changed into a township. Maybe we should have them back us so we don't have to deal with the sewage systems, the water problems, the people that aren't incapable of doing the things that the people in the township seem to have under control. These are the things that we keep bringing up that need to be done. This young man doesn't seem to understand that we've already got enough signatures on the petition. It's already going on the ballot. Done. I can't be happier. And the minute I see that on that ballot, bye-bye. Turn this village into a township. It needs it. Without it, we're falling apart. We need their help. We need their pump stations that they have. We need the people to keep up our infrastructure that they have working for them. Our DPW workers, they can't handle it. So they jump ship. What's going to happen when you guys hire somebody new to come in here that comes up here and tells you, oh man, you know, there's a lot more problems here than we thought. How come all the pressure's turned up over here and all the pressure over here is going funky, cataclysmic because there were leaks all over, and in order to balance everything out, you have to turn the pressure up here and adjust the pressure here, and this is how this stuff works. Now, Mr. Lamb, he's prior military and he's used to looking at stuff like I am because I'm prior Navy and I know how to deal with water. I know how water works. I've been telling you people for so long that we got an issue over here with the water and nobody does nothing about it. I even took the city manager over there. He said to me straight out with the chief of police standing right next to him, "We'll test this, Mr. Kinder, and we'll get this fixed." Still not done. I don't know what else, you could do. We either have help from the outside or we watch our village council let our community fall apart like it's been doing for the last 5 years that I know of. Now, I have a friend of mine, you say this is going to help, stuff like this helps our community get our sidewalks and stuff done. My buddy Keith lives right here in these apartments. He was just walking home from the store the other day and right here by the school, he fell. This gentleman's handicapped. He scraped up his right arm, his right hand, and he screwed up his right elbow. Pretty good. The man stopped by my house and said, "Don, I might need some help." I said, "Come on in, Keith." Things like this need to be addressed so we don't have situations like this. These are the reasons that we want the township. These are the reasons that we
Your
want
4 minutes
to
are up,
incorporate
Mr. Kindred.
the township. It's not that we want to get rid of the village,
Thank you.
but we need to fix it. You can't fix it without it.
Dave Otto, 638 Buena Vista Avenue. In the excitement of the cost savings associated with what you guys are proposing as far as analyzing, I hope for your legacy's sake, you guys put an account aside for the next 50 years so that we can maintain the water that we have, because as Ms. Rudd commented, well, now it's not broken. Well, it will be in time. And now we're all paying for that improvement, and hopefully the legacy of this committee will put together a fund. Mr. Gibbs's, 75-25 doesn't affect some of us within the village. So some of those dollars and cents are going to come right out of our pockets. So if you guys can set up, you see some savings in this DPW, that you can put aside that money to look in the future for 50 years, so we're not going through this. My kids aren't going through this. Your kids aren't going through this. Okay, that's my suggestion, because I can see the excitement, the dollars and cents rolling that we're going to save, but I hope we have enough sense to put some of it aside for the future. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other public comment? So we have a motion on the floor, and the motion is to request the village manager to review the operations and structure of the Department of Public Works, including the option of contracting some or all functions of the department to an independent entity or the township if cost savings can be achieved, and to provide his findings and recommendations on options to the council not later than the village council September 14, 2026 regular meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10I, cell phones for council members. Request from Councilmember Lamb. Mr. McClary.
Your Honor, Councilmember Lamb is requesting that council give consideration to authorizing the issuance of cell phones and service plans to council members who would like to have them. I provided you with Councilmember Lamb's correspondence.
Thank you. Council. Mr. Lamb.
I'll just start with the motion. Motion to direct the village manager to provide cell phones to council members that desire them for village use only, or an allowance to obtain a separate phone on their own.
I hear no support, so the motion does not continue.
No phone for me, huh?
So that a motion, there is no discussion, and we would then move on to item 10J, resolution of intent to amend DDA district boundaries. Request from Councilmember Lamb. Mr. McClary.
Your Honor, Councilmember Lamb is requesting that council consider adopting a resolution of intent to amend the DDA district boundaries and to set a public hearing. I provided you with a copy of Councilmember's letter of request.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb.
So I'd like to make a motion to the council pass a resolution of intent to amend the boundaries of the Village of Lake Orion Downtown Development Authority District and to set a public hearing in conformance with Act 57 of the Public Acts of the State of Michigan.
Support.
We have a motion and support.
I provided an extensive brief. We've discussed this many times, and we're talking about saving money and cost savings. I also produced numerous charts showing, where the dollars are actually spent, what we can do with them, and I think it's time that we take this step to change systemically the village. Thank you.
Other council comments? Mr. Papachek?
Yeah, I know we've beaten this one and gone back and forth, but you know what I've been thinking about lately, because we always we get all the questions and we kind of wonder, how did we get where we are today? It's getting so expensive to live in the village. Everyone's concerned, water, sewers, streets, sidewalks, we're all paying more and more and more. And it just got me thinking, it's easy to blame past councils. We all just say, well, the last 20 years, nobody saved money for it, so here we are, we're stuck. I wasn't around then, so I don't know for sure, but it crossed my mind that maybe past councils weren't a bunch of morons. Maybe they just didn't have the structural changes necessary to balance some of these funding decisions. So that's what I'm thinking right now, is that, maybe we'll do more of a thorough analysis here, because it seems like, and I get it, outside capture is valuable and that would get lost, but we have to look at, is the use of that outside capture more urgent than some of our other pressing usage or needs across the entire village? So I'll be brief, leave it at that for now.
Thank you. Other council comments? Mr. Dandelides.
So I'm passing out a sheet here. I've read the materials in the packet, and based on the map that's provided of reducing the DDA boundaries, this is basically the same topic that was presented by Councilman Lamb at our October 13, 2025 regular meeting. Motion was made at that time by Councilman Lamb to have a special meeting of Village Council to amend the downtown district boundaries. That motion failed 3-4, with Council members Lamb, Mosher, and Papachek voting yea, and Council members Rutt, Ford, Comparoni, and Dandelides voting nay. We have the same 7 council members here today. The question I have is, what has changed, and why are we bringing this up again? At that time, I prepared an analysis that I presented at the following council meeting on the 27th of October. And it showed, what I did in that presentation was that I showed the growth in revenues of both the DDA and the village, taking into account the new developments and the impact of the 75-25 agreement with the DDA. I compared the cumulative growth, maintaining the current DDA boundaries, with Councilman Lamb's proposal the previous week, showing the significant loss to both the DDA and the village revenues by shrinking the DDA boundaries. The loss to the DDA is related to the funds that are captured from outside of our taxing jurisdiction, or the free money as we call it sometimes, which goes away with the properties removed from the district. That's 50% of the revenues coming in that are captured. 50% is coming from outside of the village. The loss to the village is driven by the loss of the DDA contributions to the Public Infrastructure Fund provided by the 75-25 agreement between the DDA and the village. No matter how you cut it, reducing the DDA boundaries will result in a reduction in both the revenues of the village and the DDA. It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. We unfortunately have several of our council that refuse to look at the big picture. As I've stated it multiple times, I'm willing to work with anyone on council, administration, or the public to come up with real solutions, and I remain convinced that reducing the size of the DDA is not a real solution. So the piece of paper that I passed out was something that I prepared and I presented back in October, and it shows the current projections of both the DDA and the village, taking into account the outside taxing jurisdiction dollars as well as the 75-25. I also prepared and have graphed the proposal of Mr. Lamb's in a best case and a worst case. And the best case is if the outside taxing jurisdictions continue to fund at the over 12 mills that they currently are. Or worst case, if they opt out and contribute zero. In all cases, the DDA loses money and the village loses money. That's the bottom line. The village would lose in a best case scenario, the DDA would lose in the best case scenario approximately $8 million over the life of the TIF. The village would lose $1 million over the life of the TIF. So bottom line is, if we reduce the DDA boundaries, we all lose. And again, I'm willing to sit down and work with anybody to come up with something that comprehends the entire picture, but we've yet to do that. So I remain willing to help, but in my calculations, this is a loser for everybody.
Thank you. I think, in respect to some of the comments made about analysis, this motion isn't analysis. This motion is a resolution of intent to amend the boundaries and set a public hearing and move forward in it. So, this isn't an analysis. This is an intent, an intentional action to move forward. I also concur with some of the numbers and the facts of moving forward on what is going to be lost to the village. Even things as we've talked about, we still have water mains to do, and most of them, at least half of them, lie within the DDA boundaries. And we could potentially write a check for those, and I think it's short-sighted to try to amend the boundaries. I also think about things like the bond debt, and there are legal ramifications in amending the boundaries when it comes to the bond debt. Now, I don't have the bond agreement in front of me. I don't know what the percentage is in terms of how much you have to have to secure the bond debt if you amend the boundaries down, because you have to have enough to behind that bond debt, or you are in violation of the bond agreement. And so we have that. I also think it's just a poor taste to crumple up and throw away research that a council member has done and put just because you don't like it or you don't agree with it. Throw it away afterwards, but to do that in a meeting is, I think, a poor taste and shows a lack of respect for your fellow council members. It's okay to disagree, but do it tastefully, do it respectfully. And I will not be moving forward or voting to move forward on this resolution of intent. As was stated, this has been brought up a number of times. And it just continues to bog us down and slow us from moving forward together. And so I can't get behind a resolution of intent, especially when it's stated that, it's good to do analysis. This isn't analysis. Analysis has been done, but this is an intent to move forward and take action. Other council comments before I move to public comment?
1 minute. I swore I wouldn't talk, but you guys know that I have a weakness. I have all the facts and figures to support everything I've ever said to you people, and no one really wants to read them. I don't think most of you even understand them. Okay? So the fantasies that the rest of you have don't last in my world. If you want copies of the facts about where the money goes, where it went last year, where it's spent, how much captured, how much of the police millage is captured, how much of the, village millage is captured, So what I look at is the village's money. And so the DDA, God bless them, okay? They've been around since 1985, okay? People talk about sunsetting, but they get to go on forever. So the only two figures I'm going to give you to support anything, okay, there's only 5 of us here. The village of Lake Orion collects $2,800,000 in taxes from its residents. Out of that $2,800,000, the DDA captures $161,000 of the police millage and $471,000 of the general millage. So the DDA takes $500,000+ of the village tax revenues, and you guys just take that money and spend it for whatever you go downtown. And then if any one of you actually ever looked at the at the budget of the DDA, which I have synopsized, I have reprinted, I've reformatted into readable format, you would see that there's not a dime there spent for services like sewer, water, street repair and stuff. They pay for some street lights that they built. All the street lights are going to have to be replaced soon. The trees are all going to have to be replaced soon. So you guys really have no idea about the numbers okay, or the state law. And you make your decisions. And if I wanted to throw George's stuff away, I've got a dozen copies of George's stuff. He's emailed, I've got everything. I know what George says. I've looked at George's stuff. We've talked and argued about it, right, George? That was just a little drama move, plus I was getting bored. So if you want some more figures, I've got plenty available. Just ask me. I'll give you all the figures you want. You want to meet? I'll meet.
Other council comments? My second comment is I understand perfectly and don't appreciate the insinuation that I cannot understand facts and numbers. Public comments. So Ms. Byer and then Mr. Gibb and then we'll...
Yeah, I only have one comment. I live across from the DDA lumberyard, what do you ever call it? How much money are you spending on it? And who's going to take care of the mice and the rats because they're all over the place because nobody can cut the grass? Did you ever go by that corner? I see it every single day. Cut the grass. How can you even tell that we have a great big lumberyard? It's great, it's awesome. You can't even see the new building with the Pella windows and the stainless steel roofing on it, all the wood that they brought in and put steel on top of those. I can't see them, and I live on the 3rd floor across the street. What do I do?
Mr. Gibb?
And there are rats and mice. So we just let you guys all know in the village, there are rats and mice that are roaming around. Grass.
Evening, Madam President, members of council. We had opportunity to submit some hard data that's required of our accreditation to the National Main Street Program. And of the dollars that are shared in partnership with the village, just in the 25 years of the Main Street Program, we've reinvested just over $48 million in our community. In addition to that, we've invested close to $7 million of public infrastructure, which includes the repaving of roads, the building of bridges over the creek, the assistance with the MDOT crossings, public boat docks, the list goes on. Primarily, more than $3 million in direct things like asphalt and pipe in the ground. A lot of times it's easy to bypass some things that were said earlier, and I always applaud you, Mr. Papachek. You get to the point of we need to work together. In this case, Mr. Lamb is always saying I'll meet with anybody, but that's an impossibility. It never happens. And so in October, the offer was made on behalf of the DDA, our good chairperson's here as well. We would love to continue to collaborate. We do that very well with Mr. McClary. We meet with him a couple times a month. We work almost every day with Ms. Stout. She's a great clerk. She's wrinkled with me. I owe her some receipts right now. We'll get those to her. But for some reason, we always step aside from the idea that we're all in this together, and there are options for us to discuss. And so instead of saying, well, how can we possibly do this better? like we did in the 75-25. It's just a motion to say, make us smaller. And earlier, you guys had a great debate over should we have 10 hours or 8 hours, and what's the best thing for the community? But for some reason on this issue, it's always presented as, here's just a hard motion, we want you to go away. And it's interesting, in our video that we had to submit to our national organization, that was part of the theme. Is imagine being so successful in building the identity of a community that they continually tell you, we don't want you here. It's just crazy. So we would again offer, we've offered that you can sit on committees, you can come to meetings, we'll meet anywhere. Members of the public, we would love to have you in. We would love to have you take part of things. If your ideas are, how do we do this better? How do we create greater revenue opportunities for projects within the village? We have shown a track record of that is who we are as an organization. And so, I don't believe this will pass tonight, but that's not the end of the story. The story has to be, much like we've been talking about on sewer and everything else, is we have to start meeting and collaborating on these issues. And I'm looking at the two of you, because I know there is zero interest from Mr. Lamb. He called the public peanuts. That's what he intends. That's his attitude. He has total disregard for Ms. Rutt. It's embarrassing. He throws things away, and I know it's a drama
We need to keep the
gesture.
comments focused on the mayor.
It is a little bit, because this is an inappropriate way to go about the business of this community. And so the DDA stands ready. We have been ready. We've invited you in. We've asked you to join things. Nobody came to the Main Street open house. Nobody comes. So we'll invite you again. And please vote this down and let us keep doing the good work of the community.
Hello again, Tracy Woodrum, 187 East Elizabeth Street. I've lived in the village now for 15 years. Prior to that, I was in the township. And at that time, when I came in, there was such a synergy between the village, the DPW, the police, the DDA. It was awesome. Everybody was working together, had the same goals. And in more recent years, I have not felt that, in particular from one council member who seems to just find joy in attacking people and the DDA and just trying to stir things up, as opposed to really trying to find ways that we can work together and do what's good for the entire community. I've noticed over the years that if there's something that comes up that benefits him personally, that those are things that are, really pushed for one reason or another. I would really hope that we can build that synergy back up again, like Mr. Gibbs said. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and as Mr. Dandelides pointed out, if anybody truly understands the numbers and goes through them, you will see that the DDA does bring in more money into our village than we would have without it. That is the whole reason the village brought in a DDA in the first place back in 1985. Also, because it was brought up in discussion on this, Mr. Lamb putting down not only members of the council, but those of us who are village residents, he specifically attacked me after the special council meeting that was on the water increase a couple of weeks ago, because he wanted to scream at me his beliefs. Yep, I agree. I'm just saying, I feel like this needs to change. This is unacceptable, the fact that we allow this to go on meeting after meeting. As you said, this has come up. We went through the facts. It was decided. Why are we wasting time? Why are we here at 8:45 going over things that have been gone over? Nothing has changed since October, except that the DDA has actually brought in more money since that point because they've won some grants. So, yeah, I would appreciate a no vote as a resident. Since the DDA has been doing things, if you notice, our downtown is vibrant. People now come in, not only from the township, but from other communities. And 15 years ago, when I moved to this community, nobody came downtown. And that is from the improvements done by the DDA. The lumberyard is the next project. It's a work in progress, and some of that is because, obviously, we know going through council and the red tape, it's a process, right? But we will get there, and I don't know a single person who is not excited about that, because the alternative was another big apartment complex. So a community space that we can all use and appreciate, I'm excited for it. So I would hope that you would support our community and vote no to make any changes to the DDA district. Thank you.
Can we cut the grass? Cut the grass?
zoning?
Either one, doesn't matter.
Been a while since I've been in. Don Watsa. I used to coach, run baseball league, and show up here circa 2000 to get the kids on the baseball field. That's a different note. So I didn't know I was going to be commenting. I just come every so often to listen. I just thought I would read from part of a note to Molly Lalone, if anybody remembers, no disrespect, Darren. She was head of, or Matt, rather. Matt's predecessor, Molly, was in charge of the DDA. And I worked with her pretty extensively in October of 2022 when this same topic came up about should we spend money, DDA, should we reinvent, should we turn it off, close it. I'm very much in favor of everything the DDA has done. To your comments, we moved here, so my kids went to school here 2000 and future, and then we moved downtown Village because of the loveliness that was here. And the opportunity to grow, to make it better, has continued, I think, largely because of the DDA. So I support that, and I would hope that whatever this is in terms of rearranging does go away. The comment that I wanted to read about the work that Molly and I did, referencing your comments on the data, your interest in having a volunteer, I will volunteer. Matt, I'll volunteer to help. 412,698 would be lost if the DDA and the funding went away. Those were circa 2022 numbers. I don't know what the updated number is. I'd be happy to chase that down, but I don't know anybody that would want to lose that kind of funding. And those are very detailed figures from 2022, and I will defend them completely. So, just saying. Just thought I'd throw that out.
Thank you. Mr. Stephen.
As you can recall, I was the person who circulated 2 sets of petitions for defunding the DDA. And the bottom line is it got on the ballot. And that's where it belongs, is on the ballot. And the answer was, do not defund the DDA, keep the DDA. The people have spoken. I accept it. It was not my favorite, but I accept it. So as long as the population has said they like the status quo, I guess let the status quo go until there's another vote of the people to change such, not the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Samet.
Steve Samet, 245 East Shadbolt. I think most of you know that the reason that I moved here is because this is a beautiful town. We have a vibrant downtown area thanks to the DDA and the investment that they've made in helping the business owners with the issues that come forth all the time. So I would not want to see the DDA district modified in any way. If you want to modify it, expand it, and we'll capture more money to keep in the village.
Dave Otto, 638 Buena Vista. George, I don't know if you've run numbers by expanding the DDA out to the size of the village. That'd be interesting to see if that's part of your analysis. The other part of it is it just seems like we're running into these little segments where there's little zones of DDA within the village, within the township. And I think if we were to kind of take those barriers down in some fashion, I think you'd get better reaction from everybody and we wouldn't be fighting. But I think Mr. Stevens mentioned, hey, what would happen if we expanded the DDA all the way to the whole village? Because myself, I'm not in the DDA district. I'm out on an island, so I don't get some of those benefits. So that was one of my comments I made to Mr. Gibb, is just keep us in mind of that other percentage of people that aren't part of that DDA zone within the village that are still paying. We're still paying and we're contributing. So again, I'd like to see the numbers of, you had great numbers from what you showed shrinking. What does it do if you expand it? Do we get more money? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Burgess, Business 11 South Broadway, personal residence 1317 East Drainer Road. I would just like to say that when this went to the people to be voted, the people voted in support of the DDA. And as the DDA chair, I would just like to personally encourage each and every one of you to partner with us. Please come, accept our invitation, and let's work together. Because I would hate to lose $500,000 because we couldn't choose to come together based on who determines what numbers are correct or what numbers are incorrect. Our village is a very precious community, and it is sought after by people outside of our community. So please take into consideration that you asked the people to vote, the people voted, and they are in favor of the DDA, and let's work together. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we have a motion. The motion is to pass a resolution of intent to amend the boundaries of the Village of Lake Orion Downtown Development Authority District and to set a public hearing. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Papachak?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielides?
No.
President Rudd?
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you. Item 10K, confirmation of village manager's appointment of acting DPW director. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, council is scheduled to approve the village manager's appointment of DPW laborer Salvatore or Sam Hicks as acting public works director. Former director Wes Sanchez has left the employment of the village to accept a position with the Lapeer County Road Commission. Mr. Hicks will serve as acting director until a permanent appointment is made and the new director assumes the duties of the position. Mr. Hicks has accepted the offer of temporary appointment to the position, and I provided you with a copy of the proposed letter of offer of temporary appointment.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to confirm the village manager's temporary appointment of Public Works Laborer 2/operator Salvatore Sam Hicks to that position of acting Public Works Director for an indefinite period at an hourly pay rate of $34.35 effective July 14, 2026, with all of the compensation, fringe benefits, and terms and conditions of employment to remain as outlined in the AFSCME collective bargaining agreement for the Public Works Laborer 2/operation classification.
Second.
Council comments or questions?
With no bad feelings about Sam or anything about Sam, it's not about Sam, I'm going to vote no on this issue. I want to make sure it's clear that it's not about Sam's qualifications, personally, or anything to do with Sam. I have my own personal reasons I want to vote no. So, just want to explain myself.
Any other council comments? I think my comment is just that, we need somebody who is stepping into this role to provide direction for the department as we work through a number of these things. As, we voted today to look into, where we could be more efficient, or can we, can we contract for different parts of DPW work with other entities? But in the meantime, we do need somebody who will be leading the department and, assigning jobs and, what they're supposed to be doing, their day-to-day work. And so Sam is very familiar with the work of Public Works. I don't know how long he has been with the DPW, but a number of years, and we need somebody who's in that role to just oversee the day-to-day operations while we're in this transition process of efficiency, but also then seeking out a new director. Any public comments? Seeing none, we have a motion. Do we need a roll call on this since it's financial?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
No, for personal reasons.
Papachak?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
President Rudd?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 11, call to the public. Each member of the public wishing to do so can speak on any item, again, limited to 4 minutes.
Yeah. I just want to look at my water bill here since none of you will. And the first thing is I live in the condos behind CVS, and my water bill is, actually I'm lucky because it's usually $400 and it came down to $375. But there's some key things that I'd really like to ask about on here if you can answer for me. The very first line here, I am on 062 Water US. And I currently used $14.60. But my water usage is utility bill 62, which is a metered water per 100 square feet, and I'm being charged for water base 1 inch. My sewer was $17.94. And my reusable sewer base is $164.70, and my garbage is $53.68. $122.08 and $164.70. What are we? Can you help me out here?
So I would ask you to ask administration without seeing, and I can, we can certainly ask administration to do a presentation.
My other question
on how to read water bills in the next council.
I understand that, but I was delivered this with my water bill, and they don't make sense. That's what I was just trying to say. And I believe it was brought up in the June meeting, the first water meeting that was brought, and the people from across the street came over. And how are you billing me? How are you billing me? What am I being billed? You can't answer why I'm being billed this? What do I do?
If you want individual explanations of your water bill, I suggest you go.
Well, I think everybody in this whole community needs to know. The village needs to know. The non-transparency needs to know. I am paying for code 6062, which is $7.37, and now it is $122.08, and that you're charging me for. I mean, and the people of the village, this is very important. Why am I being charged like this? I live in a condo, and it's a 62 billing code, but you're billing me for a 1-inch main. Help me out. And how are you getting my meter? How are you reading my meter? Not one person in 15 years has come into my house to read my meter. How do you read the meter? Do you know how do we read the meter?
It's read remotely.
It's read remotely. From where?
They drive around the village and they can access all the meters.
Really? Are you serious? You get it from a radio signal. Well, how did those stockings work for you that they finally took down in some of the areas? So nobody can explain this to me. I'm sitting on the council. I mean, really, I'm telling you right now, I'm sending it out to you. I'm utility code 62, and you're billing me for a 1-inch main. What's going on? I need help. You can't look at me dumb. And I want to see you on Friday.
Administration or any of us would be happy to sit down another time and.
But see, you don't want to do it in front of the camera because you can't make sense of it yourselves. You're just throwing numbers out there. I am in a condo, and I'm paying $400 for water, $164. What is reusable sewer base?
And that's your 4 minutes.
When do I get an answer? How do I get an answer?
When you go ask administration, that's when you get
Your
an
Honor.
answer.
But you guys don't care?
Your 4 minutes
not that
are
we
over,
don't
thank
care.
you.
What don't you care? Then what are you doing about it?
Your 4 minutes are over. and
What are you
we're not
doing about
interrupting.
it? You get blamed because you're out there doing
Your
all the
4
work, and
minutes
you're doing
are
a great
over.
job.
Mr.
Nobody wants
McCleary.
to yeah, see, you never want to listen.
Your Honor, I recommend that any citizen who has a question on their water and sewer bills to come into the office, talk to staff.
Why not have it here?
Excuse me, we're not being disruptive, thank you.
That's right, because for 15 years I haven't gotten a goddamn answer anyway. And they're paying you $97,000?
anyone who has a question on their water and sewer bill, they can stop by the village offices. We can have our DPW staff talk to them. Our billing staff can talk to them about, all their questions about how they're billed, what size meter they have. These are questions that can be answered in the office. It is not appropriate for a citizen to come and ask the council these types of questions. The council does not have data on each individual customer's billing situation or the configuration of their system, their meters. Please, citizens, the council does not have that information. You need to contact administration. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else for public comment?
I want to direct this surrounding, Dave Otto, 638 Buena Vista, in regards to the generators. Darwin, I would suggest talk to someone that installs them so you know, because you made a comment about if it runs at any time. The generators are every week, they turn on for 10 to 15 minutes and run to check the system.
Yep.
So I just suggest that before you jump into that, talk to some of those guys that are putting them in, and they may be able to help you with some of that ordinance items. That's all I just wanted to comment.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we are aware that generators are tested once per week. That's why we put the language in the ordinance limiting the testing of generators between noon and 4 p.m. so that it's hopefully the least disruptive time for residents around that property.
Darwin, mine's targeted for 2 o'clock, just so you know, for 10 minutes. That's what, on a Wednesday.
Any other public comments?
During the day.
Yep.
How is it?
It'll meet the requirement if it's 2 o'clock.
How is it we had the electric company out here working for a few months back here, not long ago, telling us, oh, this is going to help our community with the computers and the internet, and all the electricity is going to be better. Why do we lose electricity every month? At least twice, sometimes 3 times a month. Why does my power cut out at our house 2 to 3 times a month? Where we have to reset our clocks, we have to reset our cameras, we have to reset all our shit because our power just goes out. Could somebody please tell me why? I'm looking at Darwin for this because I have to go to the administration because it's power related. So, can you explain to the community why our power keeps going out every month? 2 and 3 times a month for 5 to 10 minutes at a time sometimes, and then all of a sudden just kicks back on, and we have to reset everything we own? That's one problem. The next one is how is it you people seem to want to be transparent, yet you still don't have the camera back in the meeting room that was in there for the last 10 years that I've lived here? And whose idea was it to remove it so people if there is a question at a city council meeting in that room, that they have nothing to base it on? If there was something that was said that shouldn't have been said, we don't have a camera there anymore to point it out. See, that time when Narsh had made everybody here leave and go potty before I could get up here, and he went back there and told everybody, oh, we don't need this guy talking, because he knew who I was. He knew I don't stand for his bullshit. He knew that I would be here to fight for the community. Look at him now. He's a clown. I'm coming to sue him over his little tactics of trying to have me arrested here on freedom of speech. Hello, Mr. Narsh. I'm coming for you, pal. You know, you people seem to understand. You got everything confused. You need to go back, read our Constitution, read our Bill of Rights, read our Declaration of Independence. All these things matter. But they don't to you, apparently, because you're above that. Well, I got news for you. You're all in for a very, very rude awakening. My military and my president are bringing back that Constitution and that Declaration of Independence and our Bill of Rights, and you're all going to look like the clowns that you've been playing for. How do you people keep covering everything up? When we point things out that need to be fixed, nothing gets done about it. What's wrong with this picture? Every time somebody steps up here and says, look, we need this done, it don't get done. It gets blown down the line, pushed off to the side, and somebody says, oh, we didn't have no money. Well, we got $8 million sitting over here in Oxford, don't we? Isn't that what you guys just said? Didn't you say you have more money over here in Lake Orion in another bank? Why aren't we getting all the things that we mentioned done, fixed? You know, I went and sat the other day, I walked through the village, and I listened to a gentleman read the Declaration of Independence. I didn't see any of you there.
I was there.
Mr. Dandelides, I take that back.
So be right, be
Yes,
accurate.
yes, you were. Yes, you were. I take that back. I messed up. I also seen him here. These are the
4
things
minutes.
that
Thank
we
you,
need
Mr.
to work
Kindred.
on, people. These are the things that we need to work on.
Anyone else for call to the public? Seeing none, I will close call to the public. Item 12, DDA Executive Director comments. Mr. Gibb.
Good evening again, Matthew Gibb, DDA Director. Just a couple quick updates. Thanks to the council for approving the preliminary PUD plan. We took all the comments. Fire Marshal, his concerns regarding suppression are being met. We've got an RFP process that's due on Monday, so we'll have the numbers around that. PEA has worked with MDOT. We've gotten the full MDOT permitting approval to use the spillway for stormwater. We believe we have the full village engineering comments worked through and out. So we should have final plan to be able to move back through the final process. And we'll get with Mr. McCleary and the good staff on that. We did have the declaration read on Wednesday. It was great. And those that could make it, it was kind of cool. The shout out really goes to Rowan Dantzler, the young high school student that dressed as a patriot and read it. And he did quite dramatic. So I kind of felt like I was there. It was very cool. It was very, very cool. We've had some great things moving forward. Most significant, a couple of them were alluded to tonight. We did receive a $20,000 grant for our efforts from the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation. That's going to be pushed to the DDA board and its committees to allocate. How can we best use that? It's being geared towards, can we address some of our sanitary, not storm sanitary, but like trash receptacle type issues that we've been working on in the village. So if any of you, members of the public, would like to participate in the discussion on how best to do that, man, we'd love to have you. We did receive notice of another grant we applied for, only $1,000, but we'll take every $1,000 we can get. We just got another $1,000 to a grant that will go towards some of the electrical improvements that we still need to make downtown. We did receive notice that there's another $12,000 that's coming from our coordinating partner through Main Street that will be used towards helping us better build out things like the sprinklers aren't working by Children's Park, those types of things. So lots of small grants coming in, but all told, that's $33,000. So we'll take $33,000 in the community, right? So we've got some great work on that. We're having an all-committee meeting likely on August 4th. If you're not part of a committee, if any members of the public, members of this council would like to join, I know the two of you have come quite frequently, watch for that. Those committees will be quite robust going into the fall. Lots of other things, always find me. Tonight I'm going, last thing I'll say is we felt that $372 a month was too expensive for a self-storage unit. So we're moving that all out down to those shipping containers in the lumberyard. It all has to be out by midnight tonight. So your director is going to skedaddle. No offense to your final comments, so I can steal some daylight and get that unit emptied because it's the one-man band tonight. But thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Item 13, council comments. Mr. Papchak.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of comments tonight. There's a lot of energy and passion from the people, and it's appreciated. It's good to hear from everyone and all the different perspectives. But I don't know. I don't have all the answers for. A lot of people are upset about a lot of things, and we'll keep trying to change and be better. That's it.
Thanks. Ms. Mosier.
Well, on a positive note, I always thank everybody for coming. And on another positive note, the fireworks were amazing. But with that said, I think, as I agree with Eric, as a council member, we do the best we can, but we're allowed to have our own opinions. And if we can't voice our opinions, then we're going back to the days where the council members all said, yeah, and nobody had opinions. And I feel very strong that we should listen to everybody's opinion. Yes, you may disagree, but there was a lot of energy, there was a lot of anger, and we just do the best we can. And we're all going through the water and sewer. We're going through the same things that you guys are. So I just feel that I feel that I should be able to say what I want. I always try to choose my words, but that's what we're here for. We're here to give you our opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, that's not the point. So, have a good night.
Thank you. Mr. Dandelides.
I had something prepared tonight to talk about the decision on the water and sewer rates, but I'm going to put that off for tonight because I feel obligated to comment on some of the inner, I guess, the communication that's going on in here. We're volunteers. Yeah, we get paid $10 a meeting, but we're volunteers. I put my name on the ballot because I wanted to try and help. To sit up here and be berated, to sit up here and be sworn at, to sit up here and be threatened, okay? It's not right. It's not right. That's not why I'm up here. And I would encourage those that think, I mean, I read the chat room, we're lining our pockets. I mean, get serious. And I don't have to be here. I want to be here. And for those that come in here every meeting, once a month, whatever it is, and scream and holler at us and swear at us and whatnot, I would invite any of you to get your 25 names on a petition and get your name on the ballot, okay? If you're that dedicated and if you're that interested, come up here and show me how it's done. Come up here and show me how to be transparent. I put in minimum 10 hours a week on council, and in preparation for a meeting, I spend 10 hours probably preparing for a meeting. I have copies of everything. I go back and look at minutes. I do my research. I don't get paid for that, and I don't deserve to be yelled at, and I don't deserve to be sworn at for doing that. And and if we got somebody out there that thinks they could do a better job, I'll resign. I'll resign, and you could take my place and show me how it's done. I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb.
Georgia, I appreciate that. Being personally being the personal attacks made on me for the last 5-6 years, starting with Molly Malone in the DDA. So Harry, I want to correct a couple of things here. 4 council members formed the DDA back in 1985, not 7, nor was there ever a vote of the people to create the DDA. 5 years ago, my original proposal to the DDA was to reduce the district, not eliminate the DDA. And I made an elaborate presentation showing them facts of how capturing the residential tax dollars way the hell outside of the downtown was illegal. I pursued that through all the channels up to the state attorney general and the Department of Treasury in the state of Michigan, and they told me that even though they're responsible for enforcing the laws, it's up to the local unit of government to deal with enforcing the laws because it's local tax dollars. So the next thing that happened here, one of our well-respected residents decided to come up with a petition to completely defund the DDA. And I supported him 100%, and we had the big thing in the election. So what happened there was an election where the people said they did not want to remove the DDA completely. And I've said for 5 years, it's not my goal to get rid of the DDA completely. Okay, it's my goal to take back the residential tax base to the village residents so they can use it for their services. Now it's gotten to the point where the DDA is capturing all of the new developments on M24 and throughout town, and the village gets no additional tax revenue to support our infrastructure from the DDA. And I have the facts, but no one will listen or look at them. Okay, all they talk about is the 75-25 something. Okay, so that's called, the village has a fixed tax base and it's not growing because there's no development property left in the village that goes to the village tax base. I don't know what you people don't understand. I guess it's just raw ignorance. That was a key word to intimidate a citizen, right? No, it's just ignorance that people aren't willing to understand this. So it's frustrating to me. I'm not out to wipe out the DDA, never have been. It's strictly to recover tax dollars for use by the village administration for services for the people. No one wants to listen. They say, oh, we'll listen. No, you're not willing to listen. Okay, you're not willing to look at the services, the water, the sewer, the garbage, the administrative staff, and how that is funded. All they want to look at is, oh my God, we're going to take money from the DDA. I have copies of the DDA budget here, okay, showing where every dollar of the DDA money goes, and I don't see any village services, okay? I don't see any current projects. I see a $5 million lumberyard project that's going to be a gravel parking lot with a bunch of barns. That's going to cost you $420,000 in tax dollars for the next 20 years. Fantastic. Sound and prudent judgment. When I told them not to sell the $5 million in bonds because we had $29 million in infrastructure debt and our roads were crap, they laughed. And they voted for the $5 million bond sale. Now it's like, tough people, suck it up. We don't have any money for any infrastructure.
And that's your 4 minutes.
Please. Thank you, please.
Put the timer on myself too, so y'all know.
You love the timer.
Few comments. One, in respect to some of the other comments that were made, I just want to read out from our council rules and procedures what it says about disorderly conduct, so we're all on the same page. It says the chair or council member may call to order any person who's breaching the peace or being disorderly by speaking without recognition, interrupting, engaging in booing or catcalls, applauding, failing to be germane to the topic or issue being considered, speaking longer than the allotted time, speaking vulgarities, name-calling, personal attacks, or engaging in other conduct which is determined by the chair to be disruptive. Any person so disrupting may be removed or excluded and guilty of a misdemeanor, and that is according to MCL 750.170. So it is legal to remove someone who is being disruptive. It's breaching the peace, and that is part of our council rules and procedures. And you know, we may have let some things go a little more than we should at times because we want to protect your free speech. But just a reminder to the public and the council that that is what is in our council rules of procedure. In respect to the cameras in the council conference room, all of our meetings now, this council has chosen that every single meeting is out here. The reason we had a meeting in there today is because it's closed session. And by law, there are certain situations we are allowed to have a closed session that is not open to the public. And so we were doing a performance review, an employee performance review, and that by law is allowed to be in a closed session. In regards to the water bills, we have been incredibly transparent about our water bills. Our Department of Public Works director, our former DPW director, did a whole presentation with spreadsheets, with numbers on how those water rates are calculated and what those water rates are. So if you're having trouble reading the water bill, I understand there's, different, acronyms on there, abbreviations. If you have trouble with just understanding how those correspond to the water rates, our administration is happy to go through that with you on how to read the water bill and understand what is a unit, what does that mean. As Mr. McClary said, we don't have knowledge on why a main is 1 inch versus 3/4 inch. We don't have that information. We could tell you on the bill, like, here's the rate charge and here's what it is, but we can't tell you why or anything like that. But administration is happy to help you learn how to read your bill if you're struggling with figuring out, where each of those pieces comes in. And with that, I think, echoing the comments about the fireworks, I think the Lake Orion Fireworks Foundation did an incredible job on those fireworks. We had people from out of town who said, best fireworks ever. These are the coolest. And the one girl that was with us, she looked at her dad and said, can we come back here next year? Like, these were so good. I've never seen fireworks this good. So well done to the Fireworks Foundation on that as well. So those are my comments. And with that, item 14, Village Manager comments.
Thank you, Your Honor. I wanted to respond to some comments that were made by citizens tonight. One comment was made about no transparency by the village in the water rate increases. You addressed that issue. We presented a lot of information at more than one public meeting on this issue. Held a public hearing on the water and sewer rates. So there's been a lot of information put out on that. It is complicated, and we understand that. We're sensitive to that with our citizens. We try to explain it the best that we can, but there's a lot of factors that go into calculating the water and sewer rates, and that's why we do the PowerPoint presentation that we do to try to explain that to citizens. Another citizen asked if there's a zoning review done before building permits are issued. For any outdoor project, any outdoor construction, there is a zoning review done by village administration. Before the application is reviewed by the township, the village does a zoning compliance review. We issue a zoning compliance permit, and the township makes sure that they've got zoning approval before they issue building permits. Interior renovations normally do not have a zoning review because it is not relevant to zoning. Those are interior renovations. They go directly to the township building department for building permits. Your Honor, I apologize. I did not have time tonight to print off the manager's report because we went from one meeting to another, but just a few comments real quick. Public Act 20 of 2026 was approved by the governor on June 20th. This law changes the terms of office for village council members. So that terms now expire on December 1st at 12 o'clock noon following an election, or once the election results have been certified by the relevant board of canvassers, whichever is later. So for current council members' terms, for those of you who are up for re-election this year, and your term, instead of running to the Monday following the village's general election, your term will now run till December 1st at noon. Village Clerk Stout is making preparations for implementing these new terms of office, including a new schedule for the council's organizational meetings. So expect more information as we get closer to the election on that.
December 1st?
Pardon? December 1st, according to the new law. Village council terms expire at noon on December 1st. Unless the local board of canvassers has not certified the results yet, then it's whenever they certified the results. Just a reminder that we still need to schedule work sessions for the capital improvement plan and the fee schedule work sessions, so we will be working on getting those set up as soon as we possibly can. The Village of Lake Orion has been awarded a scholarship for one staff person to attend SEMCOG's grant writing training. SEMCOG partners with Grant Writing USA to host training workshops and provide scholarships for member communities to attend. Clerk Treasurer Stout and Deputy Clerk Treasurer Blau have both applied to attend the training, so we will only have to pay for training for one of the two individuals. And I provided you with information on some upcoming dates that I will pass along to you as part of the electronic copy of the report. Your Honor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Very briefly.
So on the clerk, or the grant writer training, so we can only send one, or we're?
No, we can send multiple as long as they've got space available. We're getting funding, scholarship funding for one position.
But we're paying for the second one?
We're paying for the second one.
I want to make sure that we weren't expecting somebody to swipe their credit card.
No, the village is paying for that.
Oh, that's good. I support that. Good.
Thank you. So we have no more closed session for this evening, so that I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Full move.
We have a motion, we have support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.